This is the voice of the Lord, your God, my beloved child. Listen carefully if you trust in God. Type Amen. This isn't just about money. This isn't about numbers on a screen. This is about something heaven has been orchestrating quietly while you've been stressing silently. While you were worried, heaven was working. While you were anxious about your future, your name was being whispered in rooms you never entered. And now, something has moved. Something has shifted. Something has been released. A spiritual transaction has taken place. A blessing that has your name on it. A miracle tied not to your earnings, but to your endurance. Not to your position, but to your posture. Not to your account balance, but to your faith balance. You have no idea how close you are to seeing what's been in transit for you for years finally reach your hands. This is not about money. This is about movement. Heaven just approved a flow in your favor. It wasn't just a transfer of currency. It was a transfer of spiritual inheritance. Something that belonged to you but was held up. Something that was written in your story but delayed by resistance. And last night, in the realm you cannot see, your name flashed across the records of angels, and a hand was lifted, and something heavy began to fall, not on you, but for you. You may not see it in your bank app yet, but your spirit already feels it. That quiet peace that arrived this morning. That strange confidence that told you something good is near. That's not coincidence. That's confirmation. Jesus stands near your name, watching over everything connected to it. And he says, the struggle wasn't about lack. It was about timing. And now I say, enough delay. Heaven doesn't deposit into your life without purpose. God doesn't bless randomly. This transaction is tied to trust. You trusted Him when your account was low. You gave when you were the one in need. You believed even when nothing moved. And now, He's responding. Not as a reward, but as a reflection of who you've become through the waiting. Archangel Michael wasn't sent this time to fight a demon. He was sent to guard a delivery. He stood by as heaven released what had your name stamped on it. A release that includes more than finance. It includes favor. It includes freedom. It includes open doors and unexpected opportunities. And most importantly, it includes restoration. What was taken from you unfairly, stolen quietly, or delayed through systems and people who didn't know your value, God saw it all. And now He says, I'm returning it with interest. This is your confirmation. Not a message about prosperity without purpose, but about promises that are finally catching up to your patience. Because what is meant for you cannot be rerouted forever. And this massive transaction, it didn't just change your bank. It shifted your season. Heaven doesn't operate on interest rates and bank hours. It doesn't calculate based on credit scores or financial history. Heaven moves on faith, on obedience, on heart posture. And what just happened in your name is not tied to a deposit from man, it is tied to a decision from God. A transaction unseen by human systems. A transfer of favor, of long-held promises, of divine compensation for all the days you gave and never received back, for all the times you planted seeds into others while no one poured back into you. This isn't just a blessing, it's a back payment. An overflow that's been accumulating, not in a vault, but in the very atmosphere around your name. And now, because you endured, because you stayed loyal, because you didn't turn bitter, God has approved what the earth tried to deny. You may not know where it's coming from. You may not see the source. But you're about to see results. Because when heaven releases something in your name, it doesn't ask permission from the system, it overrides it. This isn't about luck. This isn't about chance. This is about alignment. Your heart aligned before your hands were ready. You trusted when it made no sense. You praised when you were surrounded by pressure. You refused to give up even when the wait was long, lonely, and quiet. And heaven wrote it down. Every sacrifice. Every silent tear. Every dollar you gave out of your lack. Every time you said, "I believe something good will come." That belief became a spiritual currency. And heaven multiplied it. Jesus, seated at the right hand of the Father, turned his face toward your life and said, "It's time. Let them see what I've stored up." He is not just your Savior, he is your provider. He doesn't just give mercy, he gives provision. He doesn't just rescue souls, he rebuilds stories. And now he's rebuilding yours through resources that have been divinely designated and sealed with your name. Archangel Michael didn't stand still when your name was mentioned. He moved fast. Because this release required protection. It's not just money, it's movement. Not just provision, but prophetic unlocking. There are doors that will swing open because of this release. Relationships that will be restored. Opportunities that will appear. And peace that will settle on your home like never before. Because this isn't a temporary blessing. This is a seasonal shift. A season where you will no longer wonder when. But you will walk in the reality of now. And to those who doubted, to the moments you doubted yourself, to the fear that said you missed it, God replies, "No. I was preparing it. And now it is ready. And so are you." This massive transaction is not just financial. It is spiritual. It is emotional. It is generational. What comes next will not just bless your hands. It will heal your heart. Because heaven doesn't just pay back in numbers. Heaven pays back in peace. This wasn't random. This wasn't a glitch in a system or a technical error. What just took place in the Spirit was intentional, accurate, strategic, divine. There was a moment, so quiet you didn't even feel it, when heaven confirmed your name, validated your season, and activated a release that had been on hold. Not because you weren't worthy. Not because God had forgotten. But because timing in heaven is never driven by emotion. It is driven by preparation. You didn't see it, but the delay was never denial, it was divine protection. What was about to be released before would have been mismanaged, misunderstood, or mistreated. But now? Now you're ready. Now you're stronger. Now you're able to hold it without letting it hold you. This is not just about your bank account. This is about your becoming. Heaven doesn't send a transaction into a life that is not positioned for stewardship. God doesn't release treasure into chaos. He waits for order, alignment, obedience. And you've been aligning in silence. You've been obeying with tears in your eyes. You've been showing up when you had every excuse to shut down. And all the while, heaven was taking notes. Now the notes have turned into action. The journals have turned into justice. The tears have turned into testimony. There was a moment where your name was written, confirmed, sealed, and stamped. And suddenly, something moved. A release. An invisible unlocking. A spiritual wire transfer that just touched your name. Jesus saw the weight you've been under and said, "This child is not chasing wealth, they're walking in worship. Let my reward meet their surrender. Because this is not reward for works. This is response to worship. You didn't have much, but you gave anyway. You didn't see fruit, but you planted anyway. You didn't feel celebrated, but you remained faithful. And now, the God who sees in secret is rewarding you in the open. Not just with provision, but with peace." Archangel Michael didn't carry this transaction alone. He walked alongside legions of angels assigned to deliver, cover, guard, and witness. Because what's being released isn't just money. It's recompense. It's justice for the nights you cried over unpaid debts, over empty cupboards, over broken trust, over stolen opportunities. God saw every moment and said, "I will repay." And now, He has begun. You will see signs of it in the natural. An unexpected deposit. A closed door swinging open. A random message leading to favor. But the true transaction is taking place in your soul. You are shifting from survival to security. From fear to faith. From delay to divine timing. This moment wasn't about your finances. It was about your future. And heaven is not just funding you. It is forwarding you. Forward into your calling. Forward into your identity. Forward into everything you didn't know you were ready for. So let this settle in your chest like light. Let it breathe life into your weary places. Let it remind you that God does not forget. That heaven's silence is not absence. And that your name was always in the transaction. You've waited so long that your hope started sounding like imagination. You've prayed so often that your faith started feeling like repetition. You've spoken life even when your bank balance didn't agree. And still, you never gave up. That's why this moment matters more than just money. This is not about figures, this is about fulfillment. This is about heaven's memory intersecting with earth's timing. This is the moment where your spirit finally catches up to the promise. Not because you fought for it, but because you waited for it with reverence. You didn't manipulate. You didn't chase. You trusted. And God said, "That's the kind of heart I release favor into." And now, what's been authorized in the Spirit is showing up in the natural. Quietly. Faithfully. Precisely. This transaction didn't happen when you worked hardest, it happened when you surrendered deepest. You didn't earn this through effort alone. You invited it through endurance. You've watched others get ahead while you stayed still. You've watched blessings land in places that didn't feel fair. But now, something is shifting. The tables are turning. The script is flipping. And not because God was late, but because you were being refined. You didn't just wait, you grew. You matured. You softened. You stretched. You kept a soft heart in a hard season. And that posture has unlocked something heaven had been holding until now, a blessing you won't have to chase, a deposit that won't come with confusion, a breakthrough that won't just elevate your status, but stabilize your soul. Jesus isn't just looking at your needs, he's looking at your journey. He saw the season where you hid your pain with generosity. He saw the way you gave without being seen. He saw the way you covered others while praying someone would cover you. And now, with divine authority, he declares, "Let it be done." They have waited in love. Now let them walk in overflow. He is not releasing wealth to impress the world. He is releasing provision to empower your purpose. Because your hands are no longer just waiting, they are ready. Ready to sow. Ready to serve. Ready to receive without guilt, without apology, without fear of losing it again. Archangel Michael didn't just observe your fight, he protected your faith. He guarded the gates when the enemy tried to delay this moment. He stood watch when people tried to speak against your destiny. And now, he stands again, not as a warrior, but as a witness. Because what's been released wasn't stolen. It was stored. Stored through your quiet obedience. Stored through every yes you gave. When it hurt. Stored through every night you said, "God, I don't understand, but I still trust you." This release was written in your story before you ever needed it. It was waiting for you to become the version of you who could hold it well. And now that you've stepped into that version, your hands are open, your heart is clean, your posture is right. This is more than finances. This is favor. This is flow. This is freedom. So take this moment in. Not with panic. Not with pride. But with peace. Because when heaven moves, nothing on earth can stop it. And what just happened in your name is not temporary, it's transformational. You will never be the same after this season. Not because of what you gained, but because of who you became waiting for it. There's a sound that only the soul can hear when heaven moves. It's not loud like thunder, and it doesn't come with sirens. It's still. It's sacred. It's a whisper that lands in the heart before it appears in the bank. And if you listen closely, your spirit already knows something has shifted. Something has been credited to your life that the world hasn't announced yet. This is not just about money in an account. This is about access in a season where you've been locked out. This is about recompense for years of quiet sowing. This is about return, not only of wealth, but of time, confidence, rest, strength, and honor. You've survived with less than you deserved. You've been loyal in rooms that didn't celebrate you. And you've done it with grace. And now, heaven is responding not just to your need, but to your nature. What just happened in your name is not compensation. It's recognition. God saw the months you whispered, "Lord, I'm tired but I trust you." He heard the prayers you didn't post. He watched the way you budgeted both time and energy, giving people more than you had, while asking nothing in return. This is not just a financial blessing. This is heaven saying, "I've seen the weight. Now let me lift it." There is a kind of transaction that doesn't just change what's in your hands, it changes what's in your heart. This is that moment. A divine release sent with care, not just to ease your expenses, but to heal your expectations. You were not created to just survive life on low fuel. You were created to experience life in full abundance, not just in numbers, but in peace, in balance, in joy. And the transaction that was just approved has more than digits attached to it, it has destiny. Jesus, with the full authority of heaven behind him, stood over your life and said, "They've waited long enough. Release what belongs to them." And with that word, what was held up was let go. What was trapped in delay was pushed into motion. What was floating in the unseen realm was escorted into your timeline. And not because you cried for it again, but because you outgrew what tried to withhold it. This is not reward for being perfect. This is the reward for staying pure when bitterness could have taken root. Archangel Michael didn't appear to bring battle this time, he brought balance. He stood between the blessing and the barriers and made sure nothing touched what was meant for you. And now, the transfer is complete. Not only into your bank, but into your being. Your mindset is about to shift. Your sleep is about to return. Your opportunities are about to multiply. Not because of hustle, but because of heaven's hand. And those who counted you out, those who assumed your struggle defined you, will soon have to witness your rise. But this elevation won't come with noise. It will come with evidence. Evidence that being faithful still matters. Evidence that giving in secret is still honored. Evidence that you can't be overlooked forever when your name is known in heaven. So don't panic. Don't chase it. Let it find you like it was always meant to. Because this time, it's not a blessing you borrowed. It's a blessing that was built for you. It fits your hands. It matches your heart. It carries your name. And heaven is smiling, not because you're rich, but because you're finally ready to receive. This was not just a transaction in your name, it was a declaration from heaven. A divine announcement that your season of just enough is being shifted into more than enough. This is not because you begged. It's because you believed. Not because you demanded. It's because you didn't give up. The system thought it paused your promise, but God was only preparing the structure. While you were looking for a breakthrough, heaven was building a blueprint. While you were questioning the delay, God was customizing the delivery. What is showing up in your life now is tailor-made for you. It's not someone else's overflow. It's your portion. And it carries your name not just on the envelope, but in the intention. God didn't just send provision. He sent personal restoration. You didn't need a miracle to prove God is real. You already knew that. What you needed was evidence that heaven remembers. And now you have it. This isn't just about meeting a need. This is about reversing a narrative. Because for too long, you've felt behind. For too long, you've looked at your life and wondered, did I miss something? But the truth is, you didn't miss anything. What was assigned to you was just maturing behind the scenes. You were never late. You were never left out. And this massive spiritual transaction is God's way of saying, you are still right on time. Jesus stood over the records and said, I remember the time they gave their last and said nothing. I remember when they stayed silent and served. I remember how they sowed in tears. Now let them reap in joy. He didn't just release a blessing, he restored a balance. Not a balance in your account, but a balance in your soul. You've carried pressure silently. You've carried people quietly. You've carried prayers patiently. And now, heaven has decided that the weight you carried will be replaced with witness. A witness that will say, God doesn't forget. God doesn't skip. God doesn't delay without reason. Archangel Michael, the messenger of protection and movement, didn't allow interference this time. There were systems, cycles, even spiritual forces trying to delay this moment, but they failed. Because this was not sent through human hands. It was transferred through divine authority. An authority that cannot be blocked, cannot be corrupted, and cannot be reversed. What's been approved for you is irrevocable. And now, heaven is watching you walk into it, not with arrogance, but with awe. You'll begin to see it unfold. Not just in your bank, but in your breath. There will be ease where there was once anxiety. Peace where there was once panic. Doors where there was once delay. And people will ask you how it happened, and you'll know it had nothing to do with who you know and everything to do with who knows you. So don't worry about proving anything to anyone. Let the blessing speak. Let the flow prove the favor. Let the evidence answer every doubt that lingered in your mind during your waiting season. You don't owe an explanation. You are living one. And in the coming days, you'll feel it all settling, your heart, your finances, your path. Because when heaven releases something under your name, it doesn't just change your bank account, it reorders your destiny. What's happening now is more than just a blessing, it's a realignment. The way you've been seeing yourself, your future, your worth, it's being rewritten in the spirit. This isn't just money being released into your account, it's identity being restored into your soul. You've spent years thinking you were behind, as if everyone else had something you missed, as if life skipped over your name when it came time to reward the faithful. But God didn't forget. He didn't overlook you. He was preparing a release so precise that it wouldn't just meet your current needs, it would reset your entire mindset. The transaction that took place in your name is not about funds. It's about freedom. Freedom from financial fear. Freedom from the quiet torment of not knowing how things would come together. Freedom from the lie that you're always the one who gives but never receives. You've walked through seasons where your generosity went unnoticed, where your giving heart left you empty-handed, where your silence was mistaken for weakness. But heaven kept the receipts. God watched you give from your last, love from your lack, and serve from your sorrow. And this moment, is heaven saying, it is time to reverse the flow. You won't have to keep borrowing peace. You won't have to keep stretching your hope to survive the week. What's coming is not small. What's coming is not temporary. What's coming is compensation wrapped in glory. Jesus is not just Savior in your struggle. He is the one who just cleared the block in the spirit that held back your breakthrough. He saw the nights you prayed without answers. He saw the moments you encouraged others while waiting for your own turn. And he said, "Now, watch what happens when I release what belongs to them. Because what belongs to you was never lost. It was reserved. And now that you're ready, he's not just opening the window, he's opening the floodgates." Archangel Michael moved in silence this time. Not to make a scene, but to make a shift. He cleared out the noise. He covered your name. He made sure nothing interfered with what was designated for you. Because heaven takes your provision seriously. This was never about random blessings. This was about recorded promises. And now, that promise has become reality. You'll begin to notice things aligning, people calling, opportunities appearing, finances flowing, burdens lifting. Not because you begged for it, but because you became the person who could hold it. God didn't want to just bless you. He wanted you to be able to keep what He blessed. And now that your heart is stable, your intentions are pure, your spirit is anchored, heaven says, now, they can handle the overflow. So walk forward, not in fear, but in fullness. Not in guilt, but in grace. Because what you're stepping into is not a miracle you'll have to explain. It's a miracle that explains who God really is to those who watch your story unfold. You're not lucky. You're not random. You are deeply loved, wildly favored, and spiritually trusted. And what just happened in your name will confirm everything you believed in the dark. There's a sacred silence after a spiritual release, a moment when heaven has already moved, and your soul begins to sense it before your eyes can see it. That's the space you're standing in now. It's not emptiness, it's expectation. The transaction already took place. It's already been stamped, signed, and sealed. But God is not just dropping a blessing into your account. He is placing alignment into your atmosphere. He is ensuring that when the blessing arrives, the weight of it does not break the parts of you that haven't fully healed. Because this release is too big to be rushed. This overflow is too heavy to be poured into broken foundations. That's why you've been feeling stretched lately. That's why your sleep has felt interrupted and your emotions have felt tender, because your capacity is being expanded to hold what's coming. This wasn't a sudden decision. It was a scheduled transfer, on God's calendar, not man's. And even though it felt like He was late, He was actually perfecting what you prayed for. Because the blessing you asked for and the blessing He's sending are not the same size. You asked for enough to get by. He's sending enough to change your language. You asked for relief. He's sending revelation. You asked for one open door. He's placing keys in your hand for rooms you didn't even know existed. This is not just about what goes into your bank. This is about what rises in your boldness. You are not being paid back in just digits. You are being promoted in divine dimension. Jesus is walking beside you right now, not handing you money, but handing you meaning. He leans close and says, I'm not just fixing your lack. I'm finishing your story. He knows what they said about you. He heard the conversations where your name was reduced to your current condition. But he also heard your late-night prayers. He saw your secret generosity. He felt your unwavering hope when others gave up. And now, heaven is not just rewarding you, it is revealing you. You were never forgotten. You were never overlooked. You were being prepared. Archangel Michael is no longer standing guard at the gate. He is walking beside the blessing itself, carrying it through invisible realms, clearing every unseen obstacle, ensuring it reaches the right hands, yours. Because this transaction isn't just about deposits, it's about divine timing. Everything is shifting now. You'll begin to notice strange favor, unexpected mercy, sudden provision, people offering help you never asked for, systems that once blocked you now opening with ease. Why? Because what was once held up in the spiritual realm has now been released with force. And it's heading straight to you. And as it arrives, you won't feel panic, you'll feel peace. You won't scramble, you'll stand. Because this time, you won't have to chase it. It will rest in your life the way rain rests on fields ready for harvest. This is what it looks like when heaven honors a soul who stayed faithful in famine. It's not a reward. It's a response. So walk forward. Spend wisely. Give freely. Rest deeply. And remember, you didn't get lucky. You got seen. And the one who saw you? He didn't just send provision. He sent confirmation that your name is still being spoken in rooms that you haven't walked into yet. The atmosphere around your name has shifted. What once felt blocked is now flowing. What once felt delayed is now responding. The silence you endured wasn't a rejection, it was the space heaven used to arrange everything perfectly for a blessing you wouldn't have to strive for. God never intended for you to chase provision like a shadow. He intended for provision to chase you. And now it has. The transaction that just occurred in the spiritual realm wasn't a favor. It was a fulfillment. A signature moment from God Himself saying, they didn't quit. Now I release what was promised. This is more than a deposit. It is the arrival of an entire season that carries restoration in its hands, and your name carved into the center of it. You're not just receiving currency, you're receiving clarity. The confusion you've been quietly carrying in your chest is about to be replaced with a peace that explains what you couldn't even put into words. You didn't ask for too much. You were simply being prepared for what was always yours. What was just approved in your name has been tied to generations before you. Prayers your mother whispered in the dark. Seeds your grandfather sowed in silence. Sacrifices you didn't even know you were honoring. And now, heaven says, I'm paying back more than just effort, I'm releasing inheritance. What you're about to walk into is bigger than a check, bigger than a call, bigger than a surprise. It's legacy. It's weighty. And it's been assigned to you. Jesus never rushed to answer your prayers because he wasn't trying to calm your panic, he was building your posture. He wanted your hands open, not clenched. Your heart surrendered, not begging. Your spirit grounded, not distracted. And now, because you've finally stopped striving and started trusting, he's delivering. Not just provision, but positioning. Not just increase, but influence. Not just ease, but elevation. Because the next chapter of your life isn't just about what comes to you. It's about what flows through you. Archangel Michael isn't guarding a blessing anymore, he's announcing it. The season of hiding is over. The season of wondering is over. This is your evidence season. Where what was whispered now becomes visible. Where what was prophesied now becomes personal. Where what was hoped for now becomes held. So expect more than finances. Expect favor in rooms you didn't apply for. Expect kindness from people who once overlooked you. Expect laughter in places where you once sighed in survival. Expect God to prove to you that nothing you lost was in vain. Every late bill. Every postponed dream. Every private panic. It is all now standing beneath the outpouring of this divine moment. Let it in. Let it be easy. Let it feel strange at first, it's supposed to. You've lived with pressure so long that peace feels unfamiliar. But it's yours now. Heaven's release is not returning to sender. It belongs to you. You qualified for it not through perfection, but through perseverance. And now, the words you've whispered into pillows will echo with a different sound. Not asking, but receiving. Because your bank account may be the place it lands, but your soul is the place it heals. If you believe in God, type Amen or 444 or 555 or 0002 111. Subscribe for more videos.